math, reading, language arts, science, history, read-alouds, extracurriculars, co-op, maybe therapy, maybe tutoring sessions. How in the world do you fit it all in? Today, mamas, I'm going to be talking to you guys about scheduling your homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Megan, and I am a homeschooling mom to 6 kids. The oldest is 11, and they go all the way down to the age of 2. So I guess you could throw some little ones running around, little mischief makers, into the mix as well when scheduling your homeschool. Like I said, today we're going to chat about scheduling in your homeschool. I hope that this video brings you tips, but also some encouragement in planning out your homeschool, finding what works for you and your family. And if you don't find something to help you here, I have good news for you. Today is a collaboration with my friend Wendy over at Plan Prep Pray. She is an amazing mama of 4 kids, and she has so many wonderful tips and tricks. She is just precious. You're gonna love her. There are also several other mamas who are joining in this collab as well, so make sure to check out the playlist down in the description below. So we are moving into our 7th year of homeschooling this year, and that seems so crazy to me. It doesn't seem like it's been that long. Before I was a homeschool mom, I actually taught public school, and I have grown to love and adore homeschooling my children. It has been one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it's also been one of the biggest blessings in my life. Even on the hardest days, I do want to just encourage you. Sometimes those hardest days, those trials, they require us to fight so much harder. I can't get through those days unless I'm clinging to the one who gets me through, and that is Jesus. So that is the number one thing. When you're thinking about scheduling or doing anything with homeschool, that right there is seriously what gets me through. Without him, I could not do this, period, at all. It is not in my own strength at all that I am able to homeschool with 6 kids, ages 11 and under. Okay. So scheduling. Now, this is something that is very personal to every family out there, period. One person's schedule, routine, flow, rhythm, whatever you want to call it, it's really all just a different name for a schedule. But everybody's schedules are going to look different, and they need to. One person's schedule is not going to work for you. You have to take things and adapt them and make them your own. Okay? You know your family's needs, and you know ultimately what your schedule and routine needs to look like for your home and your homeschool. So the way I look at it is, when I look at our routine, it's not about our homeschool routine, it's about our home's routine, because homeschool is a family dynamic in our home. It's a complete and total family dynamic. Even the little bitty ones who aren't even old enough to be in school yet are still a part of what we are doing, and it still is a huge part of what is happening in our home. So when looking at a schedule or routine, you want to think about the big picture of this is how you are running your home, period. Okay? That's the first thing. What are the needs within your home? What are the things that you need to schedule around, that you need to make sure need to get done during the day, and things like that when thinking about your schedule and routine. Now, as far as our homeschool, I try to block that time to be specifically when we hit the ground running and we're doing like full-on studies. I try to block that time from 9 to 12 every day. Fluctuating time, 9 to 12, okay? The biggest thing here is that we need to have structure in our day, no matter what. There needs to be a structure of some sort. Our kids need to know the expectations. It helps us as mamas to feel more grounded throughout the day, even when the chaos hits. Okay, because we know what's coming next, and so do our kids throughout our day. When we don't have that expectation, and when we don't have that, oh, this is what's happening next. Oh, lunch is at this time every day. Oh, we have snack after nap, or those little things like that. Those are all parts of the rhythm and structure of your home. And your homeschool is built in a similar way as far as scheduling. Now, when I mentioned that your schedule and routine is very much a part of your home, for us, that means that all of us start our day with our morning basket time. Now, morning basket looks different for different people. That's what we call it. It's basically our family time to begin easing into our homeschool day. It's after breakfast. We all gather. We usually sit on the couch and we have a Bible time. We will read a read aloud, which typically will relate to whatever we are studying in history. That's how I like to structure our read alouds. Now, normally what we do at that point is we move into family subjects. And that is one of the tips that I have for you guys if you are homeschooling multiple ages that has really helped me to fit everything in. So 2 to 3 days a week, we will focus on history. 2 days a week, we will focus on science. Now, when looking at our homeschool schedule, I figured out that that was what we were going to do as far as our routine and schedule for homeschool. I figured out that's how we were going to do it because on Mondays are out. Mondays are our co-op days. We have done a co-op since my oldest was in kindergarten, and it is very much a part of our family now. We love it very much. So the way that I figure this out and to fit it all in, so to speak, is that on Mondays for our homeschool, we get to choose the classes that our children take each year. I typically try to choose things that are both enrichment style, extracurricular type things, but also some things that can take the place of me having to teach it at home. For example, this year we did America's Story 1 from Master Books. Now, at our co-op, I actually taught that as a co-op class. So it was an hour long, me teaching the materials for each week. And then throughout the week, the only thing that we had to do pertaining to that was any read alouds that we pulled in, but also any assignments that went along with what I taught in class on Monday. So there, I've already got a guaranteed 1 day a week that I am doing history. And then that just leaves a couple of days, 1 to 2 days throughout the week to carry over the reinforcement of that. The other thing with our schedule long term to make sure that we get everything done, so to speak, is that we actually do a year-round homeschool schedule. This also helps with structure in our home that I talked about. Our home is a lot more focused and happy when we stay in somewhat of a routine. And there are expectations laid. When we have days of just pure laziness, which those have happened from time to time, it is a day of complete and utter chaos, and there's nothing productive that happens during that day. I actually really dislike those days. I think I want them, and then they happen, and I realize quickly why I don't like those days. So relaxing your homeschool day is a little bit different, but all that to say, the year-round homeschool is a way that I have found that gives us the flexibility to, when we get behind, so to speak, I hate that terminology, but when we get behind on history or on science, then we can take a couple of days to really focus in on whatever subject we need to catch up on. So it gives a little more flexibility there within your schedule. If you take vacations throughout the year or whatever, it gives more flexibility there. And so that is something that I have found really helpful. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is how we structure our days. What is the structure? And I kind of started to get into this a second ago. But basically, like I said, we start our day with a morning time as a family. Now, the little ones, I have 2 toddlers. One just turned 2, and the other one is 3. She'll be 4 soon, so she's almost a preschool. Well, she basically is a preschooler. So they can be quite disruptive at times. Now, I've done videos in the past about homeschooling multiple ages. I will link that down below in the description, as well as a video on toddler busy bins and how I've utilized that and how that has helped in our homeschool just to keep them busy when we really are trying to work on something and my older kids need me to help them with school. So during the morning basket time, that does not mean my little ones are sitting quietly playing with their busy bins all perfectly while we listen to 5 chapters of Little House on the Prairie. That is not realistic, okay? So that is the first thing. Throw idealistic ideas out the window. Throw Instagram pictures out the window, because that's not real life, okay? It does get disruptive. We have many times where I will have to stop several times even before I get through a chapter of a read aloud. And then there are other times when they're really good and they will go play quietly by themselves and won't cause any disruptions at all. But the important thing is that you have to build in the routine, that's the expectation of what is going to happen. And when that is built in, when those expectations and the groundwork for that are laid, then it's going to be a lot easier for your rhythm and flow to work in your homeschool day. Okay, so after our morning basket time, and this is just our layout for the day. Maybe you don't want to have a morning basket time. That is totally fine. Like I said, this is for you guys to make ideas for making your own schedule and routine. So after we have that time, I find that it is best for our family to move into our structured family subjects, which is either history or science, like I mentioned before. I like to incorporate my little ones into this. If you have been around my channel, you have probably seen examples of this in my day in the life videos, where they're just right there, sometimes even sitting in the middle of the table while we're doing a science lesson. But nonetheless, I like to incorporate them because, again, it lays that expectation that our family grows and learns together, and that's what I want it to be. I want our family to have that dynamic. That's what I want for our homeschool. So once we do the family subjects, then we move into individual subjects. During this time, that is your reading/language arts and your math. Now, typically what I will do is I will have them all work on math at the same time. Our math choices for curriculum are not super teacher intensive. And so that's a big part of how our routine works for multiple ages. So we do Christian Light Education with most of my kids, and then my oldest has been doing Saxon and teaching textbooks. So he actually does the video lessons for Saxon. That has helped a lot to take the extra off of me, especially, yes, I know he's just in 5th grade, but it's still moving into more intense math. So I am there more as a support when he needs extra help and remediation, and the videos are there for the specific teaching of the lesson. So that has been really helpful. And then the way Christian Light Education is structured is there is a small teaching section, and the rest is like a review and application section for them to work through. So again, I am able to divide my time fairly easily. I stay busy during that whole math time between all of the kids, but again, it's very helpful in keeping that structured time. The hard one for us is our language arts / reading time. And this one is difficult for our family simply because one of my children is dyslexic and requires a lot of teacher intensive one-on-one time. The other, then I have 2 who are learning to read still. So that's 2 more kids that I have to be very individualized with. And then my oldest is basically independent. However, he does the good and the beautiful, and there's still some stuff that I have to at least listen to him read and things like that. That is where a lot of times we actually will utilize nap time for reading. So what doesn't get done before lunchtime, we will carry over into that nap time. 2 o'clock is when our little ones go down for nap, and that is when I spend that one-on-one time with reading while the rest of the kids take a quiet time, or they work on some coding stuff or things like that. So as far as anything beyond that, I do have a son that takes piano, and I do have a daughter that is in dance. And we are starting tutoring this fall with my son who has dyslexia. Now, that is going to change our schedule up some as well. Once we add the tutoring, that is going to change our schedule up, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it'll be totally okay. We will find our rhythm and our new routine on those days. However, the piano and dance is actually in the evenings, and that's going to be something else that we have to find a new rhythm for dinner time for, because my daughter's dance, she will be there 2 days a week this year, and one of those days is right in the middle of dinner time. So that's a whole new schedule thing for me to figure out. I already have some ideas stored away in my memory bank, but for me, as far as scheduling, I am a very visual person. If you are a visual person, of course, I recommend a planner. Wendy, the one I'm doing this collab with, actually has developed a planner that I love. I absolutely love it. I will stick a link to her planner down below. It's just very versatile. You can use it and make it work for you, for your home, for your homeschool. Another planner I've used in the past is the Recollections planner from Michaels. I like it because it lets you, again, just customize it the way you want. You can write in things where you want them to be. And I've also used a Simple Plan from Mardell. That's another favorite of mine. It is specific to homeschooling, and again, it's very easy to make your own. I have tried other homeschool planners as well, but they just were personally not my favorites. But those are the ones I would recommend if you're a very visual person looking for a planner. If you are interested in seeing exactly how I plan out our homeschool, I'm going to stick some links to some Plan With Me videos that I have done in the past that show how I plan our homeschool. Ultimately, as I said, you have to find what works for your family. Find your way of planning. Maybe it's not a planner at all. Maybe what works for you is to write each day's assignments on a whiteboard. I've done that before. I have a dear friend that does that as well, and that is an excellent way to do it because it's very visual. Your kids can do it. Your kids can take ownership of their learning when you do it that way, and that's a great option as well, especially if your schedule changes from day to day. Another option that I have done that I also really like is to take a spiral notebook, just a simple spiral notebook, write down assignments for each of your kids, and then when they finish each one, they can just check it off. That's a great way to do it, and again, fosters that ownership and independent learning as well. So how do I fit it all in? The reality is I don't every day, and that's okay. That's where things like the year-round homeschooling and having a little flexibility built into your routine and not overwhelming yourself with separate curriculum for every single child in your home, that's where that fits in among all of that. And also giving yourself grace, which I know is something that is said so often, but it is so true. So very, very true. So you guys, I hope that this video was helpful for you all. If you have any questions or maybe you have some tips and tricks to share those down in the comments below. Make sure to check out the other ladies' videos in this collab because there's so much wisdom that is being shared in this homeschool community on YouTube and Instagram, and I'm absolutely loving it. So I want you to meet these ladies if you haven't already. Click that playlist down below. Go visit Wendy. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys on future videos. Thanks so much, you guys, and have a blessed day.